In this video, a couple of tips about channel handles and channel sets when adjusting channels for instance, procedural items like you see over here. In this scene, I have a procedural cube over here. When I set my draw style to ghosted, you see that I have my procedural cube. Now, I also have a polygon bevel, and if I want to adjust the channels for the polygon bevel, I have to of course select it in the mesh operation list, and then in my tool properties I can adjust them over here. And then if I want to change the properties for the cube, I have to again select the cube and change the properties over here. Now, a faster way of working is if you have assigned your item properties to a shortcut. So if you call that shortcut, then you can adjust it in your viewport, but still you have to select your mesh operations first in the mesh operation list, then go to your properties and adjust them, which can be tedious if you have a lot of mesh operations. Now, this can be done a lot faster through the help of a channel handle or the use of a channel set, as I will demonstrate. So first of all, I'm going to show you how you can speed up that workflow with the use of a channel handle. So you can go to your item list and add item like that and say channel handle and double click this, or you could right click in the viewport and go to create other channel handle, and now you see that a channel handle has been added to my item list. I'm going to move it a bit out of the way, just like that. When I deselect it, I cannot select it with left mouse button click and drag. I have the middle mouse button click and drag to lasso select it, and now you see it has been selected in the item list. Now, how can you use that with the channels of your mesh operations? Well, I select my cube, for instance, and select my position X, Y, and Z, and my size X, Y, and Z, and you see that they get also selected in my channel list. For instance, also my radius doesn't matter. You can select several channels over here, and when I right click on the channels in the channel list, I can choose assign handle. Then you get a pop-up. Then you select which channel handle, and it's the only one that I have in my scene, and its name is channel handle. The mode is assign, so press OK. Now, when I select that channel handle, you see that in your properties, all of these channels have been added to that channel handle. And now I have one place where I can adjust them easily without having to select my cube in my mesh operation list. Now, if I want to also add channels of my polygon bevel, then I select my polygon bevel, and again I click on Shift, then for instance on Inset, for instance on Group Polygons and Segments, and in my channel list I can also right click over here, but then it's only one channel that's going to be selected. So if I right click on Shift over here and say assign handle, oh, in this case they are still selected. It happens when you click over here that you of course deselect them, the others, so be careful with that. That channel handle has still been selected. Press OK, middle mouse button click and drag to select it, and you see that now on the channel handle the channels for my polygon bevel, shift, inset and segments also have been added. So, and when you have your shortcut for your item list, of course, and choose channel handle, you see that you can now adjust everything in the viewport, and position X, for instance, 1, position Y 1, and now you don't have to go to your mesh operation list to select the cube and then adjust its channels, then select the polygon bevel and adjust its channels and go back to the cube and so on. You have all your channels in one convenient place. And of course, if you add more mesh operations, you can of course add them just like I've shown you. Add them to your channel handle, assign them, and then those are also being added. So that is a first possibility of grouping your channels for easy editing. Before I move on to channel sets, I want to add a couple of tips about the channel handle. So if you left mouse button click and drag on the channel handle, all the channels assigned to it will update. So that is not something that you will want to do in this instance. So if I click and drag, you see everything gets updated all at once. But you might run into situations where you want to adjust multiple at once. So if I have multiple meshes with operations, then I can assign channels from those different items to that channel handle, and then it might come in handy to actually do them or adjust them all at once. So that is one handy tip. If you hold down the control key and then left mouse button click and drag on the channel handle, you also get a extra information underneath the channel handle displaying the amount of how much you are adjusting the channel handle. And you can also middle mouse button click and on the channel handle, and then you get a pop-up. You can set the handle sensitivity. If it's too big or too low, then you can adjust the sensitivity. And for the other channels, you unfortunately have to click this extra icon because the channel handle pop-up isn't big enough to display all of them. And then of course you can adjust the channels also over here, just like that. So that is something that I want to add, that you can left mouse button click and drag on the channel handle to update all the channels that are associated with it all at once. You can hold the control key and then you can extra information about how much you are adjusting the channel handle, and when you middle mouse button click, then you get a pop-up with the name, the handle sensitivity, and its associated channels, just like that. Another way for having the same functionality is with channel sets. So if you go to your animate toolbar over here, then you have channel sets. Now I have no channels selected, so first I'm going to select my cube and for instance select my position X and Z and size X and Z all the way down here. Now you see that those channels are selected. Now I go to my channel sets and click new. You can give it a name, so call it temp channel set, and from selected channels press OK, and then you see you get a pop-up just like when you would have selected a channel and press the C key in item mode, then you get your channel all. But now this is persistent, so you don't have to press the C key each time. This will stay on screen until you press the X in front of the name and then it will disappear, but it's not gone. You can go to your channel sets, click over here and select it again, and then it's over here. So I can now click and drag on the name to adjust everything. Of course I cannot select or update them all at once. I can not select them over here, so if I want to do that I have to go again to the cube and select several at once. So with the channel handle you might run into situations where it's useful to adjust several channels at once, so in that case it's best to create a channel handle. But in other instances it might be not to your advantage, like in this mesh operation example, so it doesn't really make sense to update them all at once. So then channel sets come in very handy to create. And of course if I have my polygon bevel and I want to add channels to that channel set, I simply select those channels. So for instance my shift, my inset, my group polygons and so on, and go to my animation layout and select add selected channels. Now the polygon bevel has been added, so I can adjust them just like that, and yeah, that's a boolean, so I can click it for group polygons or unclick it for not group polygons, just like that. So another handy way of having several channels available to you all at once without having to go through your mesh operation list, selecting the different mesh operations and then adjusting them one by one. So, two handy ways of grouping channels for easily editing them. Hope you found it useful.